Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hawks Latest, your number one source for news, updates, rumors, opinions, and you guessed it, the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. I'm your host, Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL. Today, we've got a full slate of updates to break down for you. This is the 120th episode of Hawks Latest presented by FanArt, so hopefully you guys have been enjoying the ride. I know I have, but yeah, today, there is a lot to break down. From the uncertainty surrounding Trey Young's injury. I know it's been like over a whole 24 hours since the injury happened. Now, at this point, it's been like 24 hours since he was reportedly receiving the MRI, and we still have absolutely no update on that front. So we're going to break down why we potentially have no update and why there's a little bit of more of a reason for concern at this point. And then we're also going to talk about the Hawks locking in Zachary Risacher's future. Well, at least next season, because they picked up his option, and it was a no-brainer. Obviously, they were going to pick up the third-year option on their number one pick, but we'll look into Zach's season so far, what he did last year in his rookie year, and why he potentially deserves a long-term contract moving forward. Then we're going to cover Nickeil Alexander-Walker's surprising offensive breakout. We knew what we were getting with Nickeil Alexander-Walker on the defensive end, just like coming into the season. That's why Atlanta spent what they spent to bring him in, because it was obvious what he was going to bring, especially on the defensive end. And we know he's a decently polished offensive player, but he has taken it to another level this season. So we have to break down really everything that has helped his game grow on the offensive end, and how he's been so insanely crucial to Atlanta's success so far this season. And then we're going to wrap things up with a preview of tonight's matchup, tonight's Halloween matchup in Indiana for their first game of NBA Cup play. It's Atlanta continuing their road trip, taking on the defending Eastern Conference champions at their place. We're going to be in Indiana taking on the Pacers. So that is going to be a fun game tonight, and so we'll break it all down here. So without further ado, let's waste no more time and go ahead and jump right into it and start with the biggest story right now surrounding the Atlanta Hawks, Trey Young's injury. So as we all know, we really broke it down all last episode, and I'm sure you guys were watching the game live when it happened, but Trey Young was injured in Wednesday night's win, the 117-112 win against the struggling Brooklyn Nets. The Nets have still yet to pick up a win on the season, and the Hawks, they got them, they beat them, but it wasn't a pretty game all around. Like, the offense still looked good, as it's been progressively improving every single game. But yeah, late in the game, it was clear that Trey Young was missing, because the Nets almost came back. It never really crossed my mind that they could potentially win it, but they came back. They gave Atlanta a little bit of something to sweat about. And the Trey injury that came in the first quarter, which, Trey obviously started the game, and then he played the first few minutes. He checked out for a few minutes, and then he came back, and it came in that second stint. And so then, he was defending, and he was under the basket, and then Mo Gay got pushed by Noah Clowney. Gay fell into Trey's leg. Trey's leg bent very awkwardly. He got hit, the impact was right at his knee. And so that obviously looked bad, but it was it seemed a little harmless at first, right after the injury, because, he was obviously down holding his leg. But then he got up, he got up, he went back in. Well, he didn't go back to the locker room yet, but, he got back into the game, and he was running around a little bit, but then it was after that. He initially attempted to play it off, and he was on the court for not even a minute, and he went over to the bench. He's like, "Get me out of here!" He was very obviously in some pain. So then they took him back to the locker room, and then very quickly after he was back to the locker room, the Hawks PR went ahead and said that he was going to be out for the rest of the game with a right knee sprain, and so that is not necessarily a final. It was just an initial diagnosis, pretty much. They had to list something to keep him out of the game. And so the team confirmed right after the game that Young would undergo an MRI on Thursday, apparently Thursday morning, to determine the full extent of the injury. And so even though, and this is where things get a little bit concerning, a full day after the MRI supposedly happened. Now, we don't even know if they actually did it yesterday. I assume they did, because they had stated that they were going to, and it was confirmed by Hawks PR. But the results have not been made public. So, there's definitely a reason for concern there. Usually we see with stars, especially when they have a scary injury and they get their MRI the next morning, the results are there pretty quickly. So, the fact that we still don't know exactly what happened with Trey, it is not ridiculous to be a little bit concerned. And the silence can mean one of two things. It can be a good sign that the team is being cautious. It could just be a thing where they don't want to say really anything because there wasn't really much revealed in the MRI, and then Trey's just going to come back in the next few games. That appears unlikely because the other option could suggest that Trey's injury might be more complex than initially thought, and they're still figuring out how to address everything, how to send out the press release, and how they're going to, market everything for the next week or so with this injury. So that could be the case. I'm not saying it's going to be the case, but I mean, both of these options are things that we could see. I wouldn't be surprised with either. Head coach Quinn Snyder, and as we said last game, he noted post-game that Young avoided an ACL injury, and it was confirmed by several other sources pretty soon after the game concluded 2 nights ago that it was confirmed that Young did not tear his ACL, which that's huge, but the lack of official MRI results, it leaves fans uneasy, and there is good reason why. The most likely injury, according to several reports, and what I think that the injury probably is, after just reviewing the tape over and over and over again, and I'm no doctor, but after hearing other doctors' reasoning for why they think this happens, why they think Young did this to his leg, I have to agree. It seems legit, but according to multiple reports and speculation around the league, it seems like a sprained MCL is something that is on the table. And that is not, obviously that's not what we want to hear. If that is the case, that's not something that is going to be very happy. It's not going to make Hawks fans very happy. I know if that happens, I wouldn't be really happy because I'm going to Utah in a couple weeks to see the Hawks play the Jazz. And so if it's a sprained MCL, that would probably sideline him for a few weeks, maybe up to a month, maybe a little more. But the Hawks would have avoided a season-ending injury with Trey, which at the end of the day, that's what you hope it isn't. But yeah, still missing him for a month would be pretty brutal, because as I've said on this channel repeatedly, the Hawks have a very difficult early season schedule. Now they've played a little bit of it so far, and so gotten a little bit out of the way. But I mean, it's going to continue to get more difficult, as we progress. And not having Young for a month would hurt. But yeah, I mean, if I'm going to Utah in a couple of weeks, so I really hope that Young is healthy by then. And so this kind of back and forth of we don't know what it is because it's taken the organization a very long time to reveal the MRI results. It's kind of scary because it could either be this guy has really nothing wrong with him and they're just kind of easing him back into play, which could be the case, or it's something more serious. So that outcome, like I said, while unfortunate, which very unfortunate it would be a relief. Just considering what that injury could have been. If Mo fell a little bit harder on his leg, I mean, Trey could have torn his ACL. I mean, that is honestly, when I first saw the injury, watching it live, that's what I immediately thought. And I was like, crap, this is going to absolutely cook our season. So it could have been so much worse. So, I mean, something like that has sidelined him for maybe a month. It's not good, but it's out of all the outcomes, I mean, this is one of the best, unfortunately. There remains a small chance that Atlanta avoided disaster entirely. And that, this is something just much more minor, and that's why they're waiting a very long time to release any sort of details, and Trey could return within the next few games. That right there is the ideal scenario. I mean, it's good that they went ahead and ruled him out for this game against Indiana tonight. But again, it was the same right knee sprain ruling that they gave him as soon as he exited the game. So that isn't anything official. But maybe the MRI revealed nothing, and they're just going to keep him out for this Pacers game and maybe the next 2 games, and then just kind of ease him back into play. Maybe limited minutes the next game. I really hope that's the case. I want to see Trey back on the court. You never want to see your star guard go down, especially the leader of the team captain. We'll know soon enough, and likely later today. I wouldn't be surprised if while I'm recording this video or right after y'all are seeing this video, we get the news. I would not be surprised because supposedly the MRI happened on Thursday morning, but we don't really know exactly what happened there. But right now, as for now, and moving forward, the Hawks are preparing for life without their star guard, which offense is going to become very much more difficult. and the defensive end is going to be, maybe a little bit better, but it's not going to be drastic because it's going to be guys in new roles and they're going to be figuring their stuff out. But yeah, the offensive dip is going to be drastic. So we just got to hope that these guys can defend with their, lives on the line. But now let's go ahead and move on to Atlanta's second-year forward, Zachary Risacher, who we got right there. And Thursday brought a bit of positive news for the franchise. While we didn't receive an update on star guard Trey Young, it was announced by Hawks PR that the team had exercised the third-year contract option. It's part of a rookie deal for Zachary Risacher, ensuring that he will remain under contract for the 2026-27 season. This was an absolute no-brainer for the organization. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of surprised it took him this long because, almost everyone from that draft class, especially the picks higher up, the teams had already went ahead and locked him in for the 2026-27 season. But we know how general manager Anzi Saleh works. I mean, I guess for these contracts, man, he's just gonna whiait till the last minute, which I guess because I think the deadline for those contracts was today. So I think he literally got that at the buzzer, which it's your number one pick from 2024. I don't know why it would have taken that long. I don't know what was going on behind the scenes. I'm sure it wasn't really anything major. It just took them a while to actually make the decision to pick it up. But they were always going to pick it up. I mean, there was no question that Atlanta was ever going to let Risacher just walk in restricted free agency in a couple of years. I mean, obviously they would not do that. But Risacher, the number one overall pick in the 2024 NBA draft, had a very promising rookie campaign, definitely a lot more promising than what we have seen so far in his second year. In his first year, he averaged 12.6 points, 3.6 rebounds, and hit over 35% from deep. In the second half of the season, he shot over 40% from deep. He was one of the most efficient three-point shooters in the league over that stretch. So very promising second half to the year that, left Hawks fans very excited heading into his sophomore season. And, you can't blame him. I mean, this guy showed every bit of what you want next to, a guy like Trey Young and a guy like Jalen Johnson, for the future. A guy that specializes in the catch and shoot and getting out in transition, beating his opponents down the floor. That's a very valuable archetype, in today's NBA where pace is probably the biggest thing you can have. And yeah, he's just a quick player who's a good transition offensive player and defensive player. And probably should have won Rookie of the Year if there wasn't, a little bit of Spurs bias in the media. And here's the thing. So far in his second year, he's dealt with a bit of early season adversity. He hasn't been very good. He had a very solid first game, a game where he still ended up playing limited minutes. He's, this is just kind of his role, honestly. I'm not going to be surprised when he plays 20 minutes or under 24 minutes every single night because they want to get a guy like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who we're actually talking about in the next segment. They want to get him a good bit of minutes, and he's a natural fit at the three as well, and he's definitely more of an on-ball scorer. So it's going to be interesting seeing how they manage Risacher's minutes moving forward. But I wouldn't be surprised if they keep him at that 24, maybe a little under minutes per game. It's a little bit disappointing, but I mean I can kind of understand it because in that first game he scored 16 points and he was shooting the ball really efficiently. But then he suffered an ankle injury on opening night. That actually caused him to miss 2 games. So he played that first game, sat 2 games, and then played the next 2. But, after returning against Chicago on Monday, he's working his way back into rhythm. I mean, there is no question about it just watching him play. It doesn't look very comfortable out there, which is a little bit concerning. But, yeah, I mean, he missed 2 games in the early part of the season. So, of course, everyone's getting adjusted to this new team. It's not just the newcomers who are getting adjusted. It's the guys who were on the roster last year. Also new to the NBA last year, but also on the roster. But all these new guys, it certainly messes up with the chemistry a little bit. And obviously, we hope it pays off, and it's probably going to pay off in the long run. These guys are going to learn how to gel and to play together. But yeah, right now, it looks a little clunky, and that really should come as no surprise to anyone. And so yeah, he only scored 2 points in that game against Chicago. I think I don't remember how many he had against Brooklyn, but I don't think it was many. And so, while his second season has not started as strong as his rookie one, and really, he didn't even really start his rookie year super strong, but, he got it together as the season went on. Expect a similar trajectory in his second year. I mean, I'm not worried about Risacher. I don't think anyone here should be worried about Risacher. The Hawks know exactly what kind of player they have, and this is why he's such a valuable long-term asset, especially with this specific core. His trajectory is only pointing upward, and I'm super excited for his future. I think he's going to be a very quality player, in the NBA really for years to come. And I'm glad Atlanta locked him up. A lot of people are disrespecting him recently, especially with like the emerging play this season, especially of Matas Buzelis, who Atlanta played in just a few nights ago against Chicago, and Alex Sarr, who actually was the projected number one pick for quite some time, but he was projected to the Hawks at number one, but he declined to work out with the Atlanta Hawks. Him and his agency decided we don't want to go have the easiest rookie season of all time and catch lobs from Trey Young and get wide open looks. We want to go stat pad on the Washington Wizards. And even then, Alex Sarr could not win Rookie of the Year. He wasn't able to stat pad effectively. He's a 7 foot a guy who's over 7 feet tall and can't grab a rebound to save his life. But second year, it looks like he's kind of fixed some of these things. So I mean, him bringing his game together has has allowed for people to start disrespecting Zachary Risacher. And I don't want people to forget the kind of rookie season that Zachary Risacher had. So let's take a look at this resume. He was an all-rookie first-team selection, becoming the 10th Hawk in franchise history to do so. He was a 2-time Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month, the only rookie last season to win the award in back-to-back months. He was top 5 in total points, made field goals, threes, and free throws. He was from January through April. He averaged 14 points per game on 50% from the field, 40% from 3, and 72% from the line. That is all elite efficiency from a guy who was a teenager. I mean, he was 19 years old like the entire year last year. And speaking of that, Zachary Risacher became the only teenager in NBA history with multiple 30-point, zero turnover games. And he tied Anthony Edwards, one of the best players in the NBA now, for the most games by a teenager with 30 points and 5 threes. That is elite company. That is not by coincidence. That is something that no other rookie in the NBA last year, or even really this year so far, has done or is doing. It's something that this guy is just so disrespected, and obviously he's got to back it up. He's got to make people believe in him this season, and he hasn't really so far. But it's early in the season. Give the man time. I believe in his future. So yes, I mean the Hawks obviously made the right move in 2024 when they selected him number 1 overall, and right now. Critics are obviously, closing in on the Hawks. They're criticizing the Hawks for, first of all, not even relating to Risacher, but just their slow start in general this season. Not considering the injuries that they've dealt with. 2-3, but it obviously goes beyond the record, the win-loss total, because brand new team all playing together for the first time. Obviously, the pace isn't going to be exactly where we want it to be. The defense is definitely not exactly where we want it to be. And so, there's a lot to work out there. And so critics have not, missed their opportunity to, slander Atlanta. I mean, they love doing that. But, I mean, Zachary Risacher has been the heart of it at times when they're like, okay, we're not getting anything from the 2024 number 1 overall pick. Atlanta should give up on him. And I think that's terrible. I think that's a terrible mentality to look at it. I mean, if you look at Risacher's talent and maturity, and watch it, just continue to stand out, and consider that his ceiling remains one of the highest among young wings in the entire league. He'll be back on the floor tonight against the Indiana Pacers. So, with Trey Young out, maybe we could see a little bit of a breakout game for Risacher. It's obviously going to be a little bit more difficult for him to score without his floor general, without the person who's feeding him these open looks, whether that's on the corner or on the wing. But maybe we can see a little bit more of that on-ball work. Maybe show what he showcased against the Houston Rockets in that last game of the preseason. I know that was pretty exciting. I mean, he was looking like Kevin Durant out there. He was creating on the ball. He was taking step-back threes. He was going coast to coast in transition. He had like several dunks. He was cutting with pace and efficiency, and he was making the defense look lost. And he was also like one of Atlanta's better transition and also like backdoor cut defenders that entire game. So maybe we can see something like that against the struggling Indiana Pacers. We'll have a full breakdown of that game in just a little bit. We'll close the video with that. But yeah, and we'll pivot from Risacher and kind of talk about one of the most unexpected and exciting developments for Atlanta really in the early part of the season, and that has been the play of newcomer Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So when the Hawks acquired Nickeil via sign and trade with the Minnesota Timberwolves this past summer, first of all, not even just including the early games of the season, but looking at that NOG contract and the fact that he's on the books for the next 4 years, and just the play that he has given the Hawks so far, and really just everything he's given in his career so far, just like Atlanta earning that contract, and getting a guy in the core who matches their timeline like that. I mean, just awesome GM work by Ansi Soleil. Atlanta was linked to Nickeil for like the entire offseason, so when free agency officially opened up, I mean, Atlanta really didn't waste a lot of time in getting him and bringing him into the squad. I mean, they were really focused on that, and so it was starting to round out what was an incredible offseason. But when the Hawks had pulled off that deal and they acquired him, the expectation for him was simple. He'd be a defensive specialist, a glue guy, someone to pressure opposing guards and hit the occasional three, decent offensive player. We didn't have a whole lot of expectations for him offensively, but we knew he was an efficient guy, while also, bringing in very elite defensive skills. And what we've seen so far has been much more than that. He's looked like more than just a role player. Through 5 games in this early NBA season, Nickeil has been sensational on both ends, and that's the only way to describe it. He's been sensational. He's been epic. His energy, his leadership, his willingness to take big shots have all made him a crucial piece in Atlanta's rotation. And here's the kicker. He's doing it with a much higher offensive workload than anyone expected. This has been the thing that has separated him this season from all of his previous seasons in the NBA. He's averaging 16.2 points, 2.8 rebounds, 3.2 assists, and 1.4 steals per game while taking a career-high 14.2 field goal attempts per contest. If you compare that to every other year in his career, I mean, he is absolutely killing every other year just in general, first of all. And field goal attempts per contest, I think his career high up to this point was 9 or 10. He's averaging over 14 a game, which is awesome because he's impacting Atlanta's wins. He's also leading the Atlanta Hawks in 3-point attempts per game with 7. That kind of volume was just so unexpected going into the year. I mean, if you had told me that through 5 games, Nickeil Alexander-Walker would be leading our team in shot volume, I would be like, you're out of your mind. No, he's not. It would be Trey or Jalen or maybe even Kristaps Porzingis. But and here's another thing. Even though Atlanta's been dealing with injury, and this has caused him to probably play more minutes than he usually would, nightly. He's come off the bench in 3 of the team's 5 games. So, when we've talked about Onyeka Okongwu as a 6th Man of the Year candidate, we also probably need to start looking at Nickeil Alexander-Walker. It's very impressive output for the action he's getting. He's getting starter minutes, even though he's coming off the bench, but still, you're coming off the bench and you're giving elite production. And here's the thing, the shot selection has not been perfect. He's honestly, at times I felt like he's had a little bit too much of a green light, and so that can be something that comes back and bites Atlanta in one of these games. But the process behind it has been encouraging, getting all of these looks. He's creating offense off the dribble. He's kind of he's taken on an advanced version of Karis LeVert's role with Atlanta for the second half of last season. He's showing confidence in these pull-up shots, really in just his 3-point attempts. He's shooting the ball with a whole lot of confidence, but he's also getting to the mid-range pull-ups and he's attacking the rims when defenders overcommit. Just really great stuff. Just stuff that we didn't really expect. We knew he was going to be a solid offensive player, but just providing this level of production and looking like a real 3rd or 4th option for a successful NBA team. I'm thoroughly enjoying the Naw experience so far. I'm getting his jersey, so pretty soon y'all will be seeing that up there. I'll be sure to have the front facing out so y'all can see the massive, beautiful Pays logo that we just have draped on the jersey. I'm sure that's exactly what you guys want to see because that looks great. Am I right? I'm just kidding. It looks terrible. But the kind of evolution for Nickeil Alexander-Walker, offensively, it not only strengthens Atlanta's bench unit, but it adds another legitimate weapon next to the rest of the team, especially with Trey sidelined. This is going to be a huge factor when Trey is sidelined. Nickeil is, that is. Because he'll probably start our starting lineup tonight against Indiana. Now, this is not an official report because we haven't, media hasn't received starting lineups or anything like that. But the projected starting lineup would be Dyson, Nickeil, Risacher, Johnson, and Porzingis. And off the bench, we'd have Okongwu, and we'd have the rest of the guys, and Kennard and everything. But yeah, Nickeil would probably be inserted into the starting lineup just considering the overall confidence that Quinn Snyder has displayed in him just 5 games into the season. But yeah, he's going to take on an even higher scoring load. So, that 16 points per game might go up to an 18 or 19 points per game. We're going to be relying on him a whole lot offensively to create some offense because because, I've been a little disappointed in the way that guys like Dyson Daniels and I can't even say Jalen Johnson because he's been such a great scorer this year. It's still early. We can't make too early of judgments because, I believe in this core. But yeah, Nikhil's been awesome. It's early, but the Hawks with this 4-year contract, they might have found something really special here. They might have had a core player, they might have gotten a core player, and he's locked in for the next several years. His offensive leap has arguably saved Atlanta's season from an even rockier start. This is not an overreaction. I think without Nickeil Alexander-Walker, let's say either Atlanta didn't sign Nickeil this season, just full on ignored him in free agency, or they signed him and he got hurt for these first 5 games, Atlanta would be 0-5 right now. That is how important he has been to this lineup and the wins that they are getting. His defensive impact has been unreal, and he has been such just a much better offensive player than advertised. So shout out to Nickeil. It's been an awesome start to the season for him, and I can't wait to see him tonight in action against the Indiana Pacers, which is a game we are going to break down right now. So the Hawks are currently on a 4-game road trip, and they're going to continue that tonight in Indianapolis when they face off against the winless Indiana Pacers, the former Eastern Conference champion, the guys who won it last year. They represented the East in the NBA Finals. They're winless this season, and it's not a coincidence. I mean, this team is dealing with some crazy injuries, not even considering that they don't have Tyrese Halliburton all season, and they lost Miles Turner last offseason to the Milwaukee Bucks. Atlanta, however, is entering the night 2-3, fresh off of that much-needed win over Brooklyn, but they're going to be without their star point guard. He remains out with that knee injury we discussed earlier. Hopefully we get some clarity on what that is, today. Maybe like right when y'all see this video, we're going to get some news. I hope so. I mean, that wouldn't be very good for the video and the news that we've kind of broke down for a large majority of this video. But, just in terms of y'all being Hawks fans and me being a Hawks fan, I really hope we do get some clarity on that soon, because it's a little nerve-wracking. I mean, your star player, you don't know anything about his injury or the extent of it, how long he's going to be out. But anyways, back to this matchup against the Indiana Pacers. It's also going to mark the Hawks' first game of NBA Cup group play. That was an exciting thing last year. Atlanta is going to compete this year in East Group A alongside the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Washington Wizards, the Toronto Raptors, and Indiana Pacers, who, their first game, obviously, against the Indiana Pacers. This is a group that is wide open and very winnable. Atlanta could be back in Vegas this season. That was really That was really fun last year. They made it to the quarterfinals in last year's inaugural NBA Cup. They went on and they took on the Milwaukee Bucks, and in doing so, they defeated the New York Knicks, and that's where we got the iconic Trey rolling the dice on the Knicks court, signifying, hey, we're going to Vegas. That was awesome. Shout out to Trey for that, and for the Hawks for just playing as a unit last year, getting to show that this was a team that was real competitors in the Eastern Conference. However, shortly after that NBA Cup run, that's when Jalen Johnson got hurt. He was out for the season, and that kind of killed the season. But regardless, last year the Pacers went winless in group play, so hopefully this can be something that we kind of see take shape this season and be something that happens again this season. Atlanta for some reason always matches up pretty well with Cleveland, and Indiana's roster situation right now is tough. They're going to be without 8 players tonight. And that's why they've been winless. I mean, if we're ignoring that they lost Tyrese Halliburton for the season and also Miles Turner to free agency, 8 of their regular players are hurt right now, and that they're playing a G League roster pretty much. It's not a good time to be an Indiana Pacers fan. I mean, I got a feel for them just because the way Game 7 ended last season, that was absolutely brutal. But let's look at the guys who are out for Indiana. Like I said, it's 8 guys, and those 8 guys are Benedict Mathurin, who's been great this season, and he was great for them in the finals. I mean, he was kind of keeping them alive. Andrew Nembhard, talking about another guy who was great in the finals last year. Obi Toppin, TJ McConnell, Johnny Furphy, Taylor Peter, and Cam Jones. It is an absolutely depleted group, and Atlanta should seriously look to capitalize. I mean, this is not that, again, there's no must wins this early in the season, but if you're going to be a serious team, even without Trey Young, you should absolutely beat this Indiana Pacers team. I mean, there's no excuse to lose this one. This is a huge opportunity for Atlanta to build momentum and continue to refine their chemistry, without Trey. And, if you're preparing to be without Trey for an extended period of time, which is obviously the likely situation, it's a very rare situation that Trey would just miss a few games and then be back. But if you're going to be without him for an extended period of time, you've got to use this time to build some real on-court chemistry. Like I said, like Dyson Daniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker are going to get a much heavier like playmaking and scoring load. I mean, expect like Zachary Risacher to maybe do some more on-ball stuff, and Atlanta's going to be going through like Jalen and Porzingis a whole lot, and it should be a fun one. Atlanta should win this game. I'd be very disappointed if they didn't. This is a great opportunity to get back at 3-3, back at 500, get some momentum on the season, and await Trey Young's return. So to recap, we're still waiting on official word regarding Trey Young's injury. The second we get any sort of news, I'll definitely be posting it on my Twitter. So be sure to go on that and turn on post notifications. And then obviously the next, Monday, we're going to have another video and kind of breaking down all of that. And we'll give you all the details there. The Hawks wisely secured Zachary Risacher for the long term. I mean, something that obviously was going to happen. And then, soon after that, I mean, next year, we'll probably go ahead and lock him into a contract. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker's offensive emergence has given the team a spark right when they needed it most and kind of saved the season so far, like just 5 games in. So tonight's matchup in Indiana could be a real test of Atlanta's depth and resilience and just overall commitment to winning, because this is absolutely a game that they should win, even without their star guard, Trey Young. It's a chance to start NBA Cup group play on the right note, and maybe I aid them in getting back to Vegas, because that was super fun last year. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Hawks Latest. If you enjoyed today's breakdown, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single update here on the channel. We're going to be pumping out videos every single day, keeping you guys informed on the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. But let me know down below in the comments, what do you think about Trey's injury? Do y'all think that this taking a super long time is encouraging or deflating? I don't really know how to think, honestly, right now. When we get an update, I will let you guys know. What do you think about Atlanta picking up Zachary Risacher's option? What do you think about Nickeil Alexander-Walker's standout plays so far this season? I've been super impressed with him. Hopefully he can continue on that trend, especially tonight in Indiana when we're going to need him. And also, what are your thoughts on the game today? Do you think Atlanta can go ahead and get back to 3-3, back to 500, and then start the season fresh from there? Let me know that all down below. But once again, I'm Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.